Chapter 2, Lesson 8, Simple Interest. Our content target today, students will understand that interest is a repayment fee for borrowing money from a bank or lender. Our language target, how we'll understand that today, students will demonstrate that to calculate the interest of a loan is to multiply the principal times the rate times the time of the length of your loan. So the simple interest formula. Simple interest is the product of the principal, P, the annual interest rate, R, and T, time, expressed in years. So to write this out, how we find that is that the interest equals the principal times the rate times time. Okay, so if you have a savings account and the bank pays you interest for the use of your money, you can use the formula that interest equals principal times the rate times time to find out how much interest you've earned. So example number 1, it says Arnold puts $580 into a savings account. The account pays 3% simple interest. How much interest will he earn in each amount of time? So if he has 5 years, so to find that out, my interest is the principal, how much money I have, $580, times the rate. The rate is 3%, times the length and years, which is 5. So I would multiply 580 times 0.03, that's percent, times 5. So when I do that, I use my calculator. I type up 580 times 0.03 times 5. And I get $87. So in 5 years, he would get $87. If I look at example 2, it says the same thing, except now it wants to know 6 months. So 6 months is half of a year. So we can set it up the same way. Interest equals the principal, which is $580, times the interest rate, which is 3%, so 0.03, times 6 months. So that would be 6 months out of 12. So again, when I multiply 580 times 3% is $17.40. And then I multiply that by 6/12. The calculator went pooey on me, so let's do this again. Times 6/12, and I get $8.70 because it's half the year. So if I look at my got it problem, it says Jenny put $1,560 into the savings account. The account pays 2.5% interest. How much interest will she earn in 3 years? So to write out my problem, if I remember, interest equals principal times the rate times time. So my interest equals 1,560 times 2.5% times 3 years. So when I multiply that, I have 1,560 times 2.5% is 39. And then 39 times 3 is $117. Now I look at example 2. It says Marcos invests $760 in a savings account. The account pays 4% simple interest. How much interest will he earn in 5 years. So I rewrite it as my formula here. Interest equals principal, $760, times the rate, which is 4%, times the number of years, which is 5. So if I take 760 times 0.04 for 4%, I get $30.40. And then I multiply that by 5, I get $152 that you would have to pay, that you would get in 5 years. So if you borrow money from a bank, you pay the bank interest for the use of their money. You also pay interest to credit card companies if you have an unpaid balance. So again, you can still use that formula, interest equals principal times rate times time, to find the amount of interest owed. So this is what you owe on top of what you spent. So when I look at number 3, it says Rondell's parents borrow $6,300 from the bank for a new car. I wish a new car would only cost that much money. The interest rate is 6% per year. How much simple interest will they pay if they take 2 years to repay the loan? So again, we're looking at the same thing. Interest equals the principal times the rate times time. So the principal is how much money we're borrowing, $6,300, times the percent, which is 6%, times the length of the loan, which is 2 years. So again, if I use my calculator and I take 6,300 and I multiply that by 6%, which is 0.06, I get $378. And then I have to multiply that by 2 years because that's for 1 year. And when I multiply that by 2, they will be paying $756 more. Look at example 4. It says Derek's dad bought new tires for $900 using a credit card. His card has an interest rate of 19%. This is why we don't use credit cards very much, because the percents are astronomical. If he has no other charges on his card and does not make a payment, how much money will he owe after 1 month? So again, we're going to use interest equals principal times rate times time. Our principal is $900. Our rate is 19%. Ouch. And the rate is 1 month. So I have to multiply that by 1/12. So if I take 900 and multiply that by 19%, I get $171. That's for the year, but I only want for 1 month. So I'm going to multiply that by 1/12. And that's going to be $14.25. So in 1 month, he'd have to owe that much money on top of $900. The got a problem. It says Mrs. Hanover borrows $1,400 at a rate of 5.5% per year. How much simple interest will she pay if it takes 8 months to repay the loan? So again, I'm going to use my formula. Interest equals principal times the rate times time. So principal, how much did I use? How much did I borrow? That's $1,400 times the rate, which is 5.5%, times how long it takes to repay it. That's 8 months. That's less than a year, so that's 8/12. So I multiply this part first. Excuse me. 1,400 times 0.055 and that's $77. And that's what would be for 1 year, but she's going to pay it off in 8 months. So we need to multiply that times 8/12. And that's going to be $51.33. So an office manager charged $425 worth of office supplies on a credit card. The credit card has an interest rate of 9.9%. How much money will he owe at the end of 1 month if he makes no other payments? So again, we're looking at the same thing. We're looking at our interest equals our principal times the rate times time. So our principal, how much did he spend? $425 times the rate is your percent, which is 9.9%, times how long is he going to take at the end of 1 month? So that means 1/12. So I always multiply the principal times the rate first. So I take 4.25 times 9.9%, so that's 0.099, and that's $42.075. So we're going to keep that there. We're going to multiply that by 1/12. And we're going to get $3. So here's what we get for an answer. We get 3.50625. But we know that we only need 2 numbers after our decimal for money. So I look at this number here, my number 6. So as we remember when we talk about rounding, 5 or more, add 1 more. So 6 is more than 5, so I add 1 to 0, so it would be $3.51. The last one says Luis is taking out a car loan for $5,000. He plans on paying off the car loan in 2 years. At the end of 2 years, Luis will have paid $300 in interest. What is a simple interest rate on the loan? So here we have our interest. So we want to know the rate. So we're going to use the same formula. Interest equals principal times rate times time. Our principal or our interest is here. That's 300. Equals the principal, which is how much they borrowed, $5,000, times the rate times the time of 2 years. So I multiplied these two numbers here, 5,000 times 2. That gives me 10,000 times R equals 300. So to solve for R, I want to divide each side by 10,000. This gives me R by itself. 10,000 R times R divided by 10,000. The 10,000s cancel out. I'm left with R. So I take 300 and I divide that by 10,000. 300 divided by 10,000 is 0.03 equals R, but I want to know what percent that is. So I take 0.03 and multiply that by 100. That gives me my percent, which is 3%. Chapter 2 lesson homework practice assignment. You're going to be doing all even problems tomorrow once you get your homework. If you have any questions, please email me and I will help you out as much as possible. We will have our quiz, our test review after lesson 8 homework practice. We'll have a video for that, and then the next day you will be taking your chapter 2 test. Have a good day.